Peace, y'all. Mr. Byam here. Just wanted to do a quick video. Taking a little stroll through the neighborhood, getting my steps in. I said, let me make a quick video about what's going on in boxing today. And, fights I would like to see. And my takes on a few situations. Today, as of today, it's a lot going on. What's going viral? Bud Crawford got held up at gunpoint by Omaha, Nebraska police. Got pulled over. I don't know the whole situation, but it looks like he just got pulled over, and things got a little amplified, and I didn't see them holding a gun to him, but it looked like he definitely got arrested. The report said he got arrested and they let him go later. That doesn't shock me or surprise me, especially in a state like Omaha, Nebraska. It's a lot of jealousy. People talk about the jealousy and envy that come from your own kind, but man, that jealousy and envy from other races still exists. So that story doesn't shock me or surprise me at all. He just had his parade from beating Canelo one day ago, and today's his birthday. I believe today's his birthday, and that happened. He unfortunately, I'm not sure who was with him. I think it might have been his sister or his kid's mother that was with him. But that pretty much is on par for the course, man. And unfortunately, I'm not saying, that's unfortunate. And kudos to Terrence for keeping a cool head, and not letting it go overboard or screaming and yelling and, and basically cooperating. Sometimes, you got to understand, and this is a key component to life, period. You got to understand, man, there's no such thing as equality, man. You're either in a subservient position or you're in a superior position, period, man. And people have to understand tact and strategy, and temperance. So shout to Bud for understanding that and not getting a hot head, because really he could flex his muscle out, after this point. I'm sure he probably know the mayor and the governor. He could probably get them cats fired. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it unfolds. That was an unfortunate situation. But back to boxing. Speaking on the Canelo fight with Bud Crawford and all of that, it's crazy to see how everything unfolded. I basically predicted that Terrence Crawford would win that fight. I kind of saw it coming. Everybody know how Canelo fight, and he a little bit long in the tooth in terms of boxing years. He's been a professional boxing since he was a teenager. So his last few fights, he ain't been really looking himself. So I kind of saw that coming. I thought it was a mistake for Canelo to take that fight. I thought Canelo should have been fighting Benavidez, and he wouldn't have gotten as much flack, because it's really hard. What direction is Canelo going from here? You know what I'm saying? What happens from here? What direction is he going? Bud, he wants to go down to 160. I'd love to see Bud at 154, but he said he don't want to go down to 154. Credit to Bud for beating Canelo, and daring to be great. But that whole, I'm not sure that I co-sign that whole narrative that Bud is he definitely is one of the greatest boxers of all time. I'm not taking that away, but to call him the GOAT or, top two or, the greatest boxer of all time, I don't know. I seen a few people say that. I don't know about all that. But hopefully Bud, do whatever his heart desired, man. He pretty much put himself in a position to where he could do what he want, and he is in official legendary status. So kudos to him. And it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, what unfolds in 2026 with Bud's career and all of that. And even Canelo, Canelo could definitely retire, and he'll be a top 3 or top 5 Mexican fighter of all time, a top fighter of all time, period. So kudos to Canelo too for a hell of a career, hell of a resume. And other than that, man, I guess fights that I want to see, fights I would love to see, man. I'm looking forward to, these fights coming up. Fundora, Keith Thurman, the November 22nd card, Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney, O'Shea Foster, and what's brother name? Damn. You know what I'm talking about. I be forgetting so many names, man. There's so many names, but yeah, I'm looking forward to these fights coming up, man. And I already gave my prediction online for the B. Norman Jr. fight and Devin Haney. And I know people probably deem me a hater of Devin Haney, because I got a lot of critique for him just for boxing. And, of course, my goodness gracious, the bozo shit he does, outside of the ring is just, oof, oh my gosh. And he has some of the most ardent fans, some of the most delusional, toxic fans, I think Devin Haney does. Fanboys. And y'all know my motto, never be a fan of no man, be a fan of the sport. But, I think Brian Norman Jr. caught in that truck. I think Brian Norman Jr. is going to knock the hell out of Devin Haney. I think he's going to knock the hell out of him. And it's going to be a TKO stoppage somewhere. I mean, it got to get closer to the fight. So then I make my official fight prediction. But overall, I think he's going to get knocked out. I think Brian Norman Jr. going to be able to cut off the ring because he showed decent skill. People talking about Devin Haney is so much more skilled than Brian Norman Jr. And I just don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it, Devin Haney got a little bit. He got some skill. He's what I call a fundamentalist and a workhorse. He works extremely hard, and he does the fundamentals real well. He got a good stiff jab. He got decent footwork. He puts together decent combinations and stuff like that. But, it's the first time fighting at 147. So, we'll see what happens, man. I really just don't see him being able to beat Brian Norman Jr. other than clinching, jabbing, and moving. Clinch, jab, and move. And that's going to be a disgusting display if he does that. Because, people want to see fighting, People don't want to see survival, Like what Bud did with Canelo, that was sweet science. He was hitting Canelo with great combinations, man. He was moving in and out. He was using his feet, but at the same time, he picked his spots on when to stay in the pocket. I don't see Devin Haney being able to stay in the pocket at all with Brian Norman Jr. He going to be clinching, jabbing, and running. Survival mode. That's the only way I really see him winning the fight. Brian Norman Jr. really just got to stay patient. Of course, he'll probably be on attack mode and be coming forward. He could pick his spots on when to come forward and when not to, and when to be the aggressor and set traps and stuff like that. Brian Norman got more to work with when you got power and skill, and he has it, like I said, he has a decent amount of skill. So that fight is actually a fight I'm looking forward to the most. Next to come. So we'll see what happens with that. And of course, I'm not saying these people the nicknames. I usually got nicknames, but I'm gonna keep it humble and just call guys by their real name for this video. Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. The fight ain't signed yet. It's not signed yet. You know, I don't think the fight is gonna happen. I would love to see it happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think Shakur Stevenson really won it. And it's just a weird dynamic with Tio, man. He's kind of bugged out his mind. You know, he's one of my favorite fighters too, Teofimo Lopez. Especially before all the race stuff and all of that shit. He was doing all that shit. I was saying, when people was calling for Tank to fight him, I was saying he has the best shot to beat Tank. I think Tank can knock the hell out of Devin Haney. I think Tank would beat Shakur. I think Tio really has the best skill set to beat somebody like a Tank Davis, and the best chance, according to the eye test and what I see. And Tio, he been calling out Shakur for a minute. He been calling out various guys for a minute. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if the fight actually goes down and he able to, you know, I'll be impressed. I ain't gonna lie, I'll be impressed if Tio, you know, stops Shakur. Shit, I'll be impressed if Shakur stops Tio. I ain't gonna lie. But that's what I want to see. I want to see a lot of these top tier guys, quote unquote top tier guys, you know, face each other, face high level competition. You know what I mean? Like Shakur, to me, you know, if he face an athletic boxer puncher, you know, guys like Herrera, guys like Kamel Moten, guys like Kid Austin, you know, even though Kid Austin ducked the hell out of him with that bullshit he did with his lying ass father. But that's beside the point. But that's what I want to see Shakur fight. Definitely Tio has fought higher competition and dared to be great and got a better resume and better accolades. So I'm definitely looking forward to that fight, but I don't think it's gonna happen, man. It's just, and you know, all of this cap that goes on Twitter, it just be a lot of talking, you know, fake fights being made and so on and so forth. So, and of course, oh yeah, shit, Boots, one of my favorite fighters again, he fighting Lima, but a fight that nobody asked for, a quote-unquote tune-up fight at 154. You know, I'm not sure that I wanted to see that. No, I didn't want to see that. I kind of wanted to see Boots just go off rip and fight high-level competition. You know what I mean? I think he ready. I think he could face a Virgil Ortiz. First fight in 154. I don't think that would be crazy. You know what I mean? I think Boots' skill set is just high. But it's according to the fighter, man. It's according to the fighter. But I'm gonna watch that fight definitely, just to see how Boots, you know, body adjusts to 154, the new weight class and all that. So yeah, man. And then of course, you know, heavyweight. You got the heavyweights, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Ja Obitaya next fight, whenever that is. That's one of my favorite fights as well. Ja Obitaya. You know, and boxing is in full swing. Tank says boxing is dead. You know, but I think what Tank is referring to is the business side. There's a lot that's changing in boxing. Jake Paul is changing a lot of things with what he did with the deal with Netflix. You know, of course, and pay-per-views aren't selling like how they used to sell. And Netflix is free, so of course more eyes. It's according to subscription, and they're not charging pay-per-view prices, so more eyes are going to be on it naturally. So I think Tank was referring to that, but you know, Tank gonna retire, man. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. You know, and Tank is gonna retire, I believe, soon, and ride off into the sunset. I don't think he want to box no more. He looks to be exhausted. He looks to be tired of this shit. He don't want to do no media. He letting Jake Paul out-talk him. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't know if I agree with boxing being dead. I don't know about that. I definitely don't want to see, you know, the Muhammad Ali act dismantle like how Turkey and this guy Dana White wants to do, and bringing this new boxing league TKO. I don't want to see that shit. I gotta admit, I think it's gonna fuck up the sport, personally. But I guess we'll see what happens, man. I'm just a fan of the sport, a consumer, somebody that enjoys watching, pays his pay-per-view, ESPN Plus subscription, the Zone subscription, all that good stuff. I pay my money, and I enjoy boxing Twitter too. All the personalities, all of these guys. I think shout to Boxing Ego, shout to KO. I think those two guys are probably the best in the business, like in terms of the information and the accuracy of the information and the potency of the information. I like Fanon, and I enjoy other channels too, boxing channels and guys with boxing takes, but those are probably my top right there, and yeah, man, long live boxing, man. Long live boxing. Shout to y'all, yo. Peace and love.